Jagacharya Stotra Sutta Shishimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Jai Vishwapad Paramahamsa Parivar Jagacharya Stotra Sutta Shishimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the sum of the devotees. All glories to the sum of the devotees. All glories to the sum of the devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Today we are hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3. This Canto 3 is entitled Status Quo. Chapter number 3, entitled The Lord's Pastimes Out of Vrindavan. Text 21. Imam Lokam Amum Chaiva Ramayan Sutaram Yadun Reme Kshanadaya Data Kshana Sri Kshana Saurida Imam Lokam Amum Chaiva Ramayan Sutaram Yadun Reme Kshanadaya Data Kshana Sri Kshana Saurita Imam Lokam Amum Chaiva Ramayan Sutaram Yadun Reme Kshanadaya Data Kshana Sri Kshana Saurita Imam Lokam Amum Chaiva Ramayan Sutaram Yadun Reme Kshanadaya Data Kshana Sri Kshana Saurita. Pandits.
Imam Lokam Amum Chaiva Ramayan Sutaram Yadun Neme Kshana Dayadata Kshana Stri Kshana Saurida
Imam Lokam Amum Chaiva Ramayan Sutaram Yadun Reme Kshanadaya Kshana Stri Kshana Saurida
Imam Lokam Amum Chaiva Ramayan Sutaram Yadun Reme Kshanadaya Kshana Stri Kshana Saurida
Imam Lokam Amum Chaiva
Ramayan Sutaram Yadun Reme Kshanadaya Kshana Stri Kshana Saurida
Imam Lokam Amum Chaiva Ramayan Sutaram Yadun
Word for word. Imam, this. Lokam, earth. Amum, and the other worlds. Cha, also. Eva, certainly. Ramayan, pleasing. Sutaram, specifically. Yadun, the Yadus. Reme, enjoyed. Kshanadaya, by night. Data, given by. Kshana, leisure. Sri, with women. Kshana, conjugal love. Saurhidaha, friendship. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The Lord enjoyed His pastimes both in this world and in the other worlds, higher planets, specifically in the association of the Yadu dynasty. At leisure hours offered by night, He enjoyed the friendship of conjugal love with women. Purport: the Lord enjoyed in this world with His pure devotees. Although He is the personality of Godhead and is transcendental to all material attachment, He nevertheless exhibited much attachment for His pure devotees on the earth, as well as for the demigods who engage in His service in the heavenly planets as powerful, delegated directors in the management of all material activities. He displayed special attachment for His family members, the Yadus, as well as for His 16,000 wives, who had the opportunity to meet Him in the leisure hours of night. All these attachments of the Lord are manifestations of His internal potency, of which the external potency is only a shadow representation. In the Skanda Purana, Prabhasa Kanda, in the topics between Lord Shiva and Gauri, there is a confirmation of His internal potential manifestations. There is mention of the Lord's meeting with 16,000 cowherd damsels, although He is the Hamsa, transcendental, supersoul, and maintainer of all living entities. The 16,000 cowherd damsels are a display of 16 varieties of internal potencies. This will be more elaborately explained in the 10th canto. It is said there that Lord Krishna is just like the moon, and the internal potential damsels are like the stars around the moon. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yataf Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Avadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namo Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namashreshtam Manamapi Sachiputram Attvaswarupam Shri Rupam Tasya Grajim Urupurim Maturim Gostavatim Radha Kundam Gidevanam Raho Radhika Madhava Samprapto Yasya Patita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Imam Lokam Amum Chaiva Ramayan Sutaram Yadun Reme Kshanadaya Data Kshanat Stri Kshanatohrida. The Lord enjoyed His pastimes both in this world and in other worlds, higher planets, specifically in the association of the Yadu dynasty. At leisure hours offered by night, He enjoyed the friendship of conjugal love with women. So we hear in the Vedanta Sutra this term Anavritti Shabdat, that simply by hearing, one can liberate themselves from this material world. And similarly, the sound vibration that we subject ourselves to can either entangle us or liberate us. We hear in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Maya Sakta Mana Partha Yogam Yunjad Marashraya Asamshayam Samagramam Yatag Nyajasi Touch Trinu. Lord Krishna is telling His friend that you should hear from me, touch Trinu. And when we expose ourselves to the Vedic literature, there are several things that happen. One of them being the heart becomes purified. Srinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantasto Abhadrani Vidunoti Saritsatam, that the personality of Godhead cleanses the heart of the devotee who sincerely chants and hears His messages. And we can see in the gradual development of our spiritual lives, we're encouraged to accept attachment versus a life of detachment. Being able to attach ourselves to the bosom of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita, is the safe route, because simply renouncing this world or rejecting everything isn't really going to help us. We have to attach ourselves to Krishna. And we can see this even in a material example of a pizza. If the pizza isn't offered to Krishna, what's the use? It may have cheese, it may have tomatoes, but it's not going to free you from the cycle of birth and death, whereas the devotees are always interested in honoring prasadam, because by this process they make eternal spiritual advancement, whereas those who are just enjoying the temporary material things of this world, it doesn't give them any real traction. So, yeah, we should be attached to the lotus feet of Krishna and to his instructions. And we can see here in today's purport, although it's quite esoteric, this topic, Prabhupada saying it's later on described in the 10th canto. The point that's being stressed here is that whatever Krishna does, he exhibits in full, whether it's his opulences, or it's his fighting, or it's in his life as a householder, or he's the most renounced. The statement in the Vishnu Purana, Aishvarya Samagrasya, that he is full in all these different opulences. And he displays his pastimes to show his beauty, his knowledge. Krishna is full. And he is all attractive. And in the description of Lord Krishna's daily pastimes given in the Krishna book, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's many beautiful descriptions of what Krishna does. And it's said there that he's woken up 3 hours before the sunrise, and there are roosters and cocks crowing. And although he's laying in bed with his wives, he rises up to perform the religious duties. So Krishna is always showing by perfect example how to live within this world and worship him properly. Krishna wakes up and chants Gayatri, meditating on himself. So, we should always meditate on Krishna and worship his activities. And that's such a wonderful chapter, actually. If you read that, it's said there that Krishna gives thousands of cows to the brahmanas just in the morning. I think it's a 5-digit number, maybe 10,000, 12,000, 13,000 cows, and they're all decorated beautifully. They have different golden ornaments, and it's quite nice. And he actually goes to different places, and it's said there that he looks at marble statues of cows, and then he worships the demigods, and he goes to his ancestors and his forefathers, and he's demonstrating by his personal actions how we should live in this world in a dharmic way. And you can see that there's this wonderful statement, Prabhupada mentions it here and there, Vasudha eva kutumbakam, that we should see the whole world as our family, actually. Whereas in the life of Hiranyakashipu, for instance, he was wondering why Prahlad Maharaj was so powerful. And he couldn't figure out why, because he himself was the most rampant materialist and had all sorts of mystic powers at his free will. And he was questioning his son, where is he getting this power from? And he thought to himself that, it must be coming from me, it must be my genes. And he was seeing Prahlad Maharaj in this relationship of matter. He was seeing him with material vision. So, ultimately he was killed by the personal hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we can see the difference where Krishna was seeing his family and he was attached to their devotion, the devotion that the Yadus had for him, and all the different relationships he had with the Vrishnis. And so Krishna was attached to the love of his devotees. And this is a key point for us to understand, because ultimately this is the goal of our lives, and the ultimate goal of our practice is to somehow develop attachment to Krishna. And if you could pull up this verse from the 10th canto, whoever has the Bhagavatam available. This is 10:33-39. This is a wonderful verse in relation to today's text. Because we're hearing about Krishna's confidential pastimes, so this is the medicine here. Vikrididam vrajavadu bir idam cha Vishnu shradhan vito nishunayad atavarna yedya bhaktim param bhagavati patilabhya kamam hridrogam asya apinoti achirena diraha. Translation: anyone who faithfully hears or describes the Lord's playful affairs with the young gopis of Vrindavan will attain the Lord's pure devotional service. Thus, he will quickly become sober and conquer lust, the disease of the heart. So this is what every conditioned soul is suffering from within this material world, this hridrogam, this disease, this contamination that is laid deep within the heart and mind. And simply by hearing, by associating with Krishna's pastimes, these anarthas become removed. And Krishna gives a beautiful instruction at the end of the 3rd chapter. Evam bude param budva samstabhyatmanam atmanam jahi shatrum mahabaho kamarupam darasadam. He's telling Arjuna that by spiritual intelligence, by Krishna consciousness, you should slay this unsatiable enemy known as lust. Jahi shatrum, you should conquer this enemy by developing your Krishna consciousness. So, we should go on hearing and serving. And it said also that in the beginning we're attached to the service, but as time progresses, we actually begin to develop attachment to Krishna. And in the Chatur Shloki of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada gives this beautiful point that actually the order of the Supreme Lord is actually a manifestation of his internal energy. And it's by following that order that one can actually see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. This term vidyat. So, by simply following and adhering ourselves to the instructions of the Guru, the Vaishnavas, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, eventually we'll become, by their mercy, we'll become qualified to see Krishna face to face. And we should become attached to Krishna's devotees. And we should go on doing our service, and we shouldn't expect our service to be coated in chocolate and think that I'll do whatever I want that makes me feel good, or I won't do this service. It's no Prabhu. We have to basically be willing to surrender to what's. We should do the needful. And we should have the humility to be honest and say if there's a certain service that we can't render, we can always speak to it with our authorities. But we should be humble enough to bow down our heads and just serve. Like Vishnu Chitta Prabhu made this wonderful point in his class just the other day, that in order to serve, you actually have to be humble, because to be a servant means that you put others' needs in front of yours. So. There's a lot to learn, and the best way actually to make spiritual advancement is to receive friction from sadhus, and whether that's in the form of chastisement or whether that's just through the association, but we can assure ourselves that the best way to go back to Godhead is to remain tightly nested within the association of devotees, and this point is being explained in the 4th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada makes this wonderful point that if one tries to practice Krishna consciousness outside of the association, they're actually hallucinating. I think this is said in the 4th canto and perhaps in the 7th canto also, but the essence of it is explained throughout Prabhupada's purports again and again, that we have to stay within the Sangha so that we don't become misdirected. And this point about Vasudha Eva Kutumbakam, that we should see everyone as our family, we should see everyone as part and parcel, because the material conception of life is so prominent and it's so strong, and when we think ourselves to be an Englishman or an Australian or I am Indian, it's just an illusion. the Srimad Bhagavatam says, Dayam Bhayam Dvitiya Bini Besha Tasyad Ishara Petasya Viparya Yosmriti. Prabhupada says that this Viparya Yosmriti means it's converted thinking. You're actually thinking that you're this physical body and you belong to this material world. But actually, the devotee should learn to see that he belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his guru is actually his worshipable Lord, who he should accept as his worshipable master. And yeah, to free ourselves from this viparya yosmriti, this illusory thing, this coming under the sway of Maya, this illusory energy, it's very, very bewildering. Yeah, I mean, it's a little hard to speak about this context. I mean, this purport is describing Krishna playing with his 16,000 wives, and he's, it's a tricky topic. I mean, especially for neophytes, because it's an esoteric topic. So best to, if we're feeling that we can't hear these things, then it's better to hear different subject matters and continue with the basics. Stick to the ABCs, and gradually, step by step, we'll become purified if we remain under the instruction of Guru and Gauranga. There's this interesting concept called Hlada Tapakari, which means the happiness that we're actually seeking within this world brings us misery. And it's gross, and it's actually somewhat painful to see the way the living entities are moving around this world, and it saddens the heart of the devotees to see people taking shelter of the wrong things. And so the devotees feel inclined to go out and share Krishna consciousness. Like Abhimanyu Sutta Prabhu was firing up the airport team yesterday, saying, go out and do 50 stacks. And I saw the devotees coming back yesterday, and they were like, Abhimanyu told me something before I left, and he was encouraging them, and you can see how that enthusiasm spreads. You get one little instruction from a Vaishnava, and just you're like, going fast, a beeline. I'm gonna make my goal. I'm gonna hit my target. Tapas did 40 stacks yesterday. He was trying to do 50, but it's great. So we should always honor and worship the devotees who we have the privilege of serving with. And Krishna is very pleased with this attitude. And because simply everyone within this material world, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in his song, Radha Krishna Bola Bol, Maya Boshe Jacho Beshe Kachu Habudubu Bai, that they're actually just drowning, they're being washed away. But by introducing the Krishna consciousness movement to the general mass of people, we can help people understand that they're actually eternal servants of Krishna. And this is the duty of the Madhyama Adhikari, where he shows mercy to those who are favorable, and to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ishvara, he actually shows prema. And to those who are not interested or not willing to hear, who are inimical, he's upeksha, he's neutral, he's he doesn't give them any attention. So, and one could think, prema, that seems like it's only reserved for the Uttama Adhikari. How can I have prema? The intermediate devotee has prema for Krishna. But it's a different level. It's a different level. So this is a wonderful verse that we can guide the principles of our lives by showing mercy to those who are ready. And you can tell when you go out on Sankirtan who's just been waiting for this stuff, and you may have an interaction and you speak with that person, and they're like, I've been reading the Bhagavad Gita, I've been meditating. Those kinds of people are so nice to meet, and it gives you so much faith in the process. And then you meet a person like that, and then it just spirals, and then you keep meeting more. It gives you so much inspiration. The more people you're meeting, you feel more empowered, and you feel enlivened to discuss the activities of Krishna consciousness with people that you meet, and you're just happy, and people are giving you donations, and there's just this flow of mercy, simply because we've put ourselves out there, we've put ourselves, in the right place. We're doing the Sankirtan Yajna. This is what Lord Chaitanya wants. This is what Srila Prabhupada wants. And yeah, it's great. It's the ultimate path of bliss. But we should always be careful because, as is explained in this canto of the Bhagavatam, the third canto, Prabhupada makes this wonderful statement, actually, that a devotee should always be in a renounced temperament, knowing that the things that this world has to offer won't actually give them any happiness. Yehi samsparshaja boga dukaya non evate adyantavante koteya na te shu ramate buddha. That the wise person, they actually don't take pleasure in the things that have a beginning and an end. Those who are intelligent, they seek pleasure in Rama. So, yeah, it's dangerous because if we become intoxicated by the spirit of enjoyment, it's like a drug. It can actually carry you away. So devotees should always be careful to remain conscious of slowly and surely developing this spirit of renunciation, because a powerful statement that the Avanti Brahmana sings in the 11th canto is that the mind has fearsome godlike powers. So if we fall victim to the material mind and then take shelter of sense gratification or even performing devotional service for some material gain, we won't reach the ultimate goal of our lives, the Param Gatim. We won't actually achieve the shelter of the Aha Prabhu Korodoya. We won't receive the shade of the Guru's lotus feet. We'll just keep being burned by this blazing fire. And I was sharing this nice purport with Kalki Prabhu yesterday in the 4th canto. Prabhupada was saying that we have to become addicted to hearing the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Srimad Bhagavatam. And and by doing that, we can free ourselves from the blazing fire of material existence. So, yeah, we just have to make sure that we're directing ourselves to take shelter of the right activities, and always be careful of becoming intoxicated by the spirit of enjoyment, because Kunti Manarani gives warning in the 1st canto of Janmaishwarya Shrutashri Bir, that if one is simply puffed up, thinking that they have a great birth, or that they're very powerful, they're very beautiful, they actually won't be able to cry out to Govinda feelingly. And Prabhupada makes a beautiful point in that purport, stating he's actually glorifying the holy name. Prabhupada says that even if one person chants the holy name even once, the holy name is so powerful that it can destroy an unlimited amount of sins that is accumulated within the heart of the chanter. Vrishijati hridayamna yasya shakshat darir avata bihito pya oga nasha pranaya rasanaya dritangi padma sabhavati bhagavata pradana uktaha. Yeah, there's this mountain of sins that's being accumulated from many, many births within the material world. And the association of the holy name simply smashes this mountain. And all we have to do is even chant the holy name once. And there's this prayer sung by Lord Kapila's mother, who is, what is her name? Devahuti, aho bhatta chato gari yan yajjivagre vartate nama tubhyam te pus tapaste tuhuju sasnu arya brahmanuchur nama grinanti yete. That how glorious are those who are chanting your name. Even if they're born in a very low family, even if they're swapacha, even if they're dog eaters, simply by chanting the holy name they can become free of their material attraction, material affection, and gradually receive that mercy. And we should become attached to hearing Krishna's names, because it's the only way in this age of Kali. And we should learn, as Mitravan Prabhu was making this wonderful statement in his class, we should learn from the humble attitude of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mitravan Prabhu was explaining how when he was interacting with the Mayavadi sannyasis, Gauranga Mahaprabhu took a lowly place. He sat by all the shoes, actually. And he won over the hearts of the sannyasis, the Mayavadis. So, we should follow in that same spirit and be very, very humble in our interactions, especially with the devotees, because offending the Vaishnavas is a huge disruption in one's spiritual life. And we should be very, very careful to guard against this. And the Nectar of Instruction teaches that Nindari shunya hridam ipshita sangha labdya, that we should actually serve that devotee who is advanced in their devotional service, and their heart is completely free of the propensity to criticize others. Krishneti yasya giritam manasa dikshasti chet pranatibish, we should offer pranata, we should offer our respects to that person. Even if they've undergone diksha and initiation, we should bow down before them. And even if a person chants the name of Krishna, we should mentally honor that person, even if they're coming from a very fallen background or what have you. Because the most perfect follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Srila Prabhupada himself. And we can see this in his early pastimes in New York City. He was actually telling them that, no, you're not my disciples. I am your servant. Although spiritual master, Prabhupada was, most exalted Maha Bhagavat Siddha Purush, his glories are spread throughout all of the three worlds. He was waiting in line to take prasadam. He was waiting in line to take bath, and because they didn't know the culture over there, they were thinking, well, maybe we should help Swamiji clean up. Maybe we should wash some pots. Yeah, Prabhupada's appearance day is coming. We can simply try to endeavor to please him to some degree, and yeah. And it was in this very city where Prabhupada traced his cane, the skyline of Atlanta. He was telling his disciples that all these people will starve. And no one knew what Prabhupada was speaking about. And the devotees were saying, why are they going to starve, Prabhupada? Is it because of the three modes of material nature? They were just giving kind of, typical devotee answers. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj says, they will starve, Prabhupada, because they don't know how to grow their own food. Prabhupada says, yes. So, yeah, Prabhupada gave these instructions in this very city, and we can make it our life's mission to fulfill his orders to whatever degree. And when we were associating with Keshava Bharati Maharaj, he was giving us many, many instructions and encouragements to make Prabhupada's books the main, the most important aspect of our lives is the study of the works of his divine grace. And if we simply put as much effort as Prabhupada put into writing his books, if we can simply put a little iota, a little fraction of effort into reading them, we'll definitely, get some of Prabhupada's blessings, because he was very pleased when, he gave so many instructions. Distributing his books is a great way to please him. The Brihat Mridanga, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said it's the greater Mridanga. Just checking the time. But yeah, we can also know that, as Kadamba Kanana Maharaj says in this statement, that, as devotees, we make vows to chant our 16 rounds and, do what the spiritual master says. And because it's measured, we say 16, we're pulling the beads, it's like, okay, but Kadamba Kanana Maharaj was actually explaining that because there's no way for us to measure it, devotees don't actually take it seriously. And then those devotees who aren't reading and tracking their progress, Kadamba Kanana Maharaj was simply stating that he was guaranteeing that those who aren't taking shelter of Prabhupada's books, he says the process will gradually become stale and will lose taste. So, we always have to keep our ears open to the tune of the Bhagavatam and let it enter deep within our hearts. And when the heart becomes clean, then Krishna is actually inclined to come and sit in a clean place. He'll enter into the lotus, he'll sit on a lotus there. And just on this topic of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Chaitanya, I wanted to read a little section from the Adi Leela. Ali, if you can pull this up. This is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 7, text 99. If you have the wherewithal to pull this. It's just a paragraph, but it's a wonderful... 799, Adi Leela 799. Is this it? Yeah. Go down. The paragraph begins with impersonalist. Keep going. Yeah, here we go. Impersonalist Mayavadis always try to defy Vaishnavas because Vaishnavas accept the Supreme Personality as the supreme cause and want to serve him, talk with him, and see him, just as the Lord is also eager to see his devotees and talk, eat, and dance with them. These personal exchanges of love do not appeal to the Mayavadi sannyasis. Therefore, the original purpose of the Mayavadi sannyasis of Benares in meeting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to defeat his personal conception of God. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, as a preacher, turned the minds of the Mayavadi sannyasis. They were melted by the sweet words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and thus became friendly and spoke to him also in sweet words. Similarly, all preachers will have to meet opponents, but they should not make them more inimical. They are already enemies, and if we talk with them harshly or impolitely, their enmity will merely increase. We should therefore follow in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as far as possible and try to convince the opposition by quoting from the Shastras and presenting the conclusion of the Acharyas. It is in this way that we should try to defeat all the enemies of the Lord. Yeah, what a wonderful instruction. Shastra Yonit Vlat. Everything, if we see everything with the eyes of Scripture, that's the greatest guiding principle to the life of a disciple. We should wear these instructions around our necks like garlands, Trinadapi Sunichena, become more humble than a blade of grass, and give respect to others and not expect any in return. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur similarly praised this, that when will I actually be able to honor, all living beings properly? O Gurudev. We should hear from the right person. We should hear from sadhus. We should hear from the Shastra. We should hear from Guru. Not only we should hear from them, but it should be for a very, very long time. And there's a beautiful prayer in the Bhagavatam. Kalki Prabhu might know this one. This is from the 7th canto, 9th chapter. Lord Brahma is being praised with this term, kalena tivrena parishuddha bhava, that by undergoing this tivra, this austerity, Lord Brahma underwent this for a very, very long time, kalena tivrena. So, we should train ourselves to become disciplined in the activities of devotional service, and then be inspired to go out and then share this urgent message with all of the people of this modern day society. And simply go out and plead them and ask them to accept this mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then give them the opportunity of associating with the pure devotee. Because as the Chaitanya Charitamrita explains, that this is actually the essence of all the scripture, is that Lava matra, sadhu sangha, sarvasiddhi hoy. Even if you get a moment's association with a sadhu, you get all perfections. And Prabhupada writes actually that, what is a lava matra? It's 1/11 of a second. So by going out on book distribution, on Harinam, we're giving everyone the opportunity to associate with a pure devotee of Krishna. And the sadhu sangha is the most important activity in our devotional service. And we have to hear from devotees, and then we have to actually organize our lives in such a way to where we can actually carry out those instructions. The Shastra is glorified. Krishne swadamo pagate dharma jnana adibi saha. Kalo nasha drisham esha puranarko denotataha. That the Bhagavatam is as brilliant as the sun. It has appeared in this age of Kali to wipe out all the contamination, and our devotees in Atlanta are doing this, going out, distributing Bhagavatams on the streets, and now it's spreading throughout the whole world. Devotees are feeling inspired and preaching and increasing. So we're ending early today, so I'll leave 5 minutes. If there's any questions or comments or anything, we can have a little discussion before we break. Yes, Amayama Prabhu.
It's also very interesting that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he preached, almost like that in that mood, when everyone should became not more envious to you. Already they are envious, and if you increase their envious, and it's not will be so nicely. But if you will see our disciplic succession, and you will see the preaching of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. You know, if somebody will come to him, you know, sometimes he's beating him by a stick or some umbrella or whatever, and not so big, not. And Vamshidas Babaji, you will see, or some Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. There's many sannyasi Mayavadi. Almost they try to avoid speak with him, or this you can see them on speaking strongly on the service of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, can you imagine when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can tell you are not God, you are a dog, you know, publicly, you know. It is very difficult to keep balance, because Prabhupada also was very soft sometimes, you know. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also was, when he preached for Chandkazi, he told you eating your mother. Why are you eating your mother?
Yeah.
Like, it was also
strict,
very, it's very heavy, it's really very heavy. And to keep this balance is really very, very difficult, you know. Even you know so many stories like Prabhupada preach, like Guru Maharaj preaching, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preaching, still it's very difficult to keep the proper balance. Where is the line? I don't know. This question is in my mind, and every time it exists. You know, where is the line? How much I can go deep and far for preaching this message? And even we have so many scriptures and experience here.
Yeah, that's why association of devotees is so important. Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhaya, that you follow the path of the Mahajans, they'll show you, you know, the right way to follow. Yeah. Yeah. Following the book Bhagavat and the person Bhagavat, you know. You can be mopping the floor, but you know, the person Bhagavat will pull your ear, you know. You can be doing devotional service or, you know, associating with the book, but the devotees will, you know, correct you and show you, you know, how to eat this way, how to sing this way, you know. So association is a key, constant, yeah. Chandanacharya Prabhu.
In the Prabhupada, there's mentioned 16 different internal potencies of the Lord. I found 8. I mean, I couldn't find out searching. I found 8. It's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, because Prabhupada says it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam 10th canto. So I found that there's internal potency Shri, Pushti, Gir, Kanti, Kirti, Tushti, Ila, and Urja.
What's that?
This
Prabhupada is saying 16. No?
Yeah, but there's only 8, so I was just like wondering if 53 to 55 this is.
I just think we don't know. There must be a division somewhere else in the Acharya's book.
The purport, well, then there's his material potencies, but then and then there's another internal pleasure potency, which is Shakti. But
there's another point actually in this purport that Prabhupada says 16,000 cowherd damsels.
Yeah, cowherd damsels of Braja.
That was the first time I found a number for cowherd damsels. I searched the whole Veda base. I couldn't find any other number. Generally, my understanding was that there are unlimited number of gopis.
We had this.
There are only 16,108 wives.
No, we had this discussion last time. So in the, you want to explain that?
Oh, about the 16,000?
Yeah.
So,
Principle, huh?
yeah, so the 16,000, so the 16,000, there's 16,100 gopis that perform the Katyayani Vrata, and they're like Nityasiddha pure devotees. And so they are, so the 16,100 queens are expansions of those gopis.
Okay, I was assuming there was something like this. Where is this found?
That's found, I could send you the references, but that's found in the, what's his name? That point is made in the 10th canto when Krishna rescues them, and then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes that point about these 16,100 gopis. Anyways, it's like mentioned in different places. I can like send you those references.
In our Bhagavatam purpose?
Yeah, that the point about them like being expansions is mentioned in the what's it called?
Being expansions is there.
Yeah.
But that there are 16,000 principal gopis.
Yeah.
That point, I'm wondering where it's mentioned.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I know that there's 16,000 like 100 gopis, the Katyayani Vrata.
Where is that mentioned?
That's mentioned in that pastime of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The 10th canto.
Commentary?
Yeah.
Okay, it's probably not in our books.
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Yeah, because the display, the 16,000 cowherd, it doesn't say there principle. It just says that the display of the 16 varieties of internal potency.
No. The cowherd damsels mean gopis. So,
Yeah, so that's what he's saying.
So- yeah, I was trying to figure out where the number of 16,000 gopis came from, because I didn't find it anywhere else.
Yeah.
But these 16 varieties of energies, internal energies, I was not able to find. It might be there if we check Acharya's commentaries on the same verse. We might find it.
Let me read this here. This is kind of like on the same topic, but so I think this is from the Skanda Purana. I didn't quote this one exactly, but this is from that purport I was telling you. This is the 10th canto, 59th chapter, text 54. So it says, at that place, 16,000 gopis were assembled with Krishna, who is considered the supreme.
Where is it?
This is the 10th canto, 59th chapter, text 43. You might have read this if you looked for it. But it's so, anyways, at that place, 16,000 gopis were assembled with Krishna, who is considered the supreme, the super soul, the shelter of all living beings. The gopis always were known 16 potencies. Oh, goddess. Anyways, that's 16 potencies being mentioned. Krishna is like the moon. The gopis are
I like the stars.
it's phases. And the full constituent of gopis is like the full sequence of the moon's 16 phases. Each of these 16 divisions of gopis, my dear Varangana, is subdivided into 1,000 parts. So it seems like there's 16 divisions, principle, and then within that they're divided.
1,000 each.
Yeah, which is
Then
interesting.
you have 16,000.
Yeah.
Must be the ganas. 16 ganas.
Hmm.
Mm.
So.
Yeah, Acharya's commentaries will have more on this subject.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I had a comment on this
Sure, Prabhu.
subject of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preaching, but I was reading recently. That's interesting. You read that about that, just another dynamic of just understanding, not making people that are already envious more envious. There's that is there also, and the pastime with the Buddhist. Prabhupada makes a point in the purport, which I thought was interesting, but he says that in preaching sometimes that Lord Chaitanya defeated the Buddhist without pretty much referring to the Vedas on logic. So he's pretty much saying that we have to be similarly expert in defeating people logically.
Right.
I thought that was pretty amazing actually. We saw that Prabhupada did that often actually, especially in the West. He would defeat people with
Mostly logic.
yeah.
He would quote something here and there, but not too much.
Yeah, exactly. That, you're dependent. Why are you dependent? It's you're dependent on rains. And it's you never really consider it. But I immediately cut so many people off. But anyways, some smaller point.
Yeah, I mean, there's that prayer in the Dasavatar Stotram, Lord Buddha, but he rejected the Vedas.
Yeah.
But then those who are Brahminical, they take full shelter of scripture, Yeah.
Can you read that chapter and verse again?
What I just read?
Yes.
Okay. So, quote, at that place, so Canto 10, chapter 59, text 43.
Okay, 59 copy that.
Okay. And there's other things also. I can maybe send that to you. But then there's this too. Let me read this just to you because this. This is anyway. This is just talking about how those unmarried gopis that are just Nitya Siddha gopis. Okay.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Vancha